since the conflict moved into a full-blown armed conflict. You will hear their historians who move to different portions, different platforms to tell the other side of the story. And you will hear when a civilian is being killed, or either side, when they are being killed, they are either blacklegs, infiltrators, spies, sellout, just to name but these. Others will say they are collaborators who are aiding and abetting. When others are being killed, they simply balance when they are discovered that they are guilty. You will hear the terms, we are at war, or we are in war. Regardless of which adjective you put it, how will it sound that a common man who lived in the northwest and southwest region, who is just there to ensure that his life move on freely, is killed under the guise of defending territorial integrity or self-determination? It doesn't add up. We are all humans. We are created in the image and the likeness of God. When the conflict started, many thought it would just take just a few months. Some thought it was just going to take few years for us to come back as a nation to look for ways to resolve the conflict. It's been 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and we are June 2021. There is no light at the green light at the end of the tunnel, meaning we may likely count 2022. What lies the fate of the common man in Gokutunja, in Furewe, in Way Village, in Ekona, in Kwakwa, Nake, Bole, Oto? What lies their fate? What has the common man done to these people that their lives are always caught in the balance? Who did they offend among the belligerent? This is House of Commons with me, JARVIS. Come back from that break. If you are just joining us, you're watching House of Commons. It is a program which comes to you every Sunday at exactly 12 to 1:30 p.m. where we discuss issues affecting the state, killing our own under the name of self-determination or under the name of defending national integrity, or we are at war. Who did the common man offend among the belligerent? Today's program, we are joined by Mr. Yves, who is a member of the Cameroon's People's Democratic Movement. He will be speaking exclusively in French, but my question will be posed in English. Truth, Cameroon is bilingual, and we must learn to preach and practice what we preach. Monsieur Yves, bonjour et bienvenue.
Bonjour, bonjour à vous et bonjour à vos nombreux auditeurs. Good morning to all of you.
Thank you very much. Here also we have Dr. TARH EYONG, who is joining us for his very first time on our panel today, all the way from Yaoundé. Someone who has been very, very concerned as far as the conflict in the northwest and southwest is concerned, and his view is that the conflict should be resolved amicably such that people of the northwest and southwest region can move to their normal life. He believes that people must be held accountable at both sides regardless of who they are, and that people must go to the table for an effective contribution to nation building. In the caption of dialogue, Dr. TARH, you're welcome to the program. A privilege to have you.
Thank you very much, Jarvis. I'm elated to see your very airy studio and looking very beautiful. Thanks for inviting me. I am very happy because of the topic you have put in place. I think it will make much sense if we start trying to put on the table the issues that affect the common man, because all said and done, our focus is what has the common man done. I want to thank you so much for coining the topic the way it is. Greetings to Mr. Yves, whom I'm also meeting for the first time. And as you rightly said, as a human rights activist, we strongly stand to the fact that human lives is most important. Irrespective of what people have as interest, they must always consider that everybody cannot be on the same tail. And there are people who believe on others, and all they need is just to survive. If death becomes a regular phenomenon in the Northwest and Southwest region, there is reason for all Cameroonians to come out and shout. Not just because we are talking about the common man, but because the non-state actors and the military are also our brothers. We should not forget the Anglophones or the Southern Cameroonians that there are also even Southern Cameroonians who are in the military, who are police, who are gendarmes, who are soldiers, and who are always sent to the war front. And so killing the military does not mean you are killing Francophones. You could also end up killing your own brother, and we know many corpses that have been taken to our various areas for burial. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope by the end of this program, we would have made some useful contributions for the way forward.
We're also expecting Fabrice LENA, who will be joining us here. He is the Secretary General of the Populous Action Party, PAP, and also we shall be having contribution from Mr. Sama, the CEO of Unamumu Don't Too Much, who will be joining us in Boya to discuss this issue. I'll begin with you, Ms. Eve, the Commander of when we look at this conflict, when it started till now, a lot of people are being killed, civilians. Also those who are military people from the other regions, their families have been affected because their children are being killed as far as this conflict is concerned. The question I want to ask you is that you are of the Common People Democratic Movement, CPDM. What are the possible options that you people see as a party that can help us resolve this conflict?
Bon, merci de la question que vous me posez, et je commence déjà par dire que vraiment nous au mouvement RDPC, CPDM, nous sommes très marqués par cette guerre fratricide. Bon, quelle est la solution que nous avons pour l'arrêter? Vraiment, nous avons commencé à prendre l'option du dialogue. Il faut que les Camerounais apprennent à s'asseoir autour de la table, que les Camerounais apprennent à discuter. Et je pense que la solution du dialogue est en train de se poursuivre. Elle se poursuit. Il faudrait qu'elle aille plus loin, parce que il ne sert à rien que on poursuit ce carnage où des Camerounais se tirent entre eux, parce que le copanéliste disait tout à l'heure, le docteur disait tout à l'heure que en fait, quand on tue, que ce soit du côté de l'armée, que ce soit du côté de nos populations, en fait, ce sont les Camerounais qu'on tue. C'est-à-dire qu'on peut aller tuer les militaires. On se dit non, on est en train de tuer les francophones, alors qu'il y a des ressortissants anglophones parmi ces forces de l'ordre. Donc, en fait, on se tue entre nous. Il faudrait qu'on arrive à des mesures de compréhension, des mesures de discours collectifs. Et pour y arriver, vraiment, moi, j'ai mon mécanisme personnel, et que je pense qu'il est aussi celui de mon parti, est que, premièrement, les personnes qui n'auraient jamais dû prendre les armes contre l'État prennent les armes, que l'État fasse un peu plus dans la compréhension, que l'État écoute un peu plus les populations de ce côté pour voir que, en fait, ce qu'elles demandent, c'est peut-être pas, parce que nous avons, je vous confiais tout à l'heure en off que nous autres francophones avons très souvent une mauvaise perception de la zone anglophone. On se dit que non, dès qu'on vient de là, c'est que tout le monde est séparatiste. Non. Donc il faut que déjà, de ce côté, de l'autre côté du Mongo, que les gens commencent à comprendre que être de la zone anglophone, c'est pas être séparatiste. Nombreux sont là, vous ici autour de la table, vous n'êtes pas séparatiste. Et il y a beaucoup de milliers de personnes comme vous de ce côté-là. Il faut juste qu'on ait un dialogue franc, qu'on essaye de discuter très sincèrement et qu'on trouve un terrain d'entente. Et je pense pour ma part, même si peut-être certains trouveront c'est insuffisant, je pense pour ma part que l'implémentation concrète de la décentralisation à travers le statut spécial qu'on a, qui sera appliqué dans les deux régions, je dis bien application concrète, peut être un début de solution.
So you
voilà.
you believe that the special status can...
Oui, ça peut être un début de solution, parce que vous allez voir dans ce statut spécial que je n'ai pas ici entre les mains, il y a des spécificités qui sont propres à ces deux régions que les 8 autres n'ont pas. Vous voyez? Bon, c'est vrai. Les uns et les autres peuvent souhaiter qu'on aille plus loin. Et là, encore, je vais vous dire que, vous savez, ce processus-là, c'est un processus qui s'améliore au fur et à mesure qu'il s'implante. C'est-à-dire que si on commence avec, et que sur le terrain, les populations reçoivent bien, mais qu'elles se rendent compte que non, il en faut un peu plus, elles en feront la demande. Et dans un jeu de dialogue permanent avec l'État, on peut arriver à des situations où des populations ont vraiment le sentiment que c'est elles qui ont leur destin en main. Parce que c'est ce qui est visé pour que les uns et les autres se sentent moins frustrés. Il n'y a pas quelqu'un qui est plus camerounais qu'un autre. Non. Nous sommes tous camerounais et il faut vraiment que tous les enfants du Cameroun, où qu'ils se trouvent, quel que soit leur village. Vous avez listé les villages de cette zone tout à l'heure et je suis sûr que ce sont des villages où les populations sont extrêmement en difficulté. Vraiment, nous sommes de tout cœur avec elles et nous prions que dans les prochains mois, dans les prochains jours, on arrive à une situation vraiment d'apaisement où les uns et les autres pourront également dormir en paix.
Okay.
Voilà.
Mr. Dr. TARH, I want to get your reaction. A lot is ongoing in the Northwest and Southwest region from 2016, 2021 that we are now. We are witnessing a different kind of modus operandi as far as the military perspective is concerned and the non-state armed group is concerned. When we look at the chain of event, looking at the common man being caught in the web, people being killed who are known armed men, like the kidnappings of the 6th divisional delegate in Yan division. One was killed, and these are unarmed civilians, and the one that was killed was unarmed and is an Anglophone. That is just, one of so many that who are being killed on a daily basis as far as the context of civilians. Who did this common people, who did they offend as far as this is concerned? Because there are days you hear the state actors killed this, there are days you hear they did not. So what's happening as far as this is concerned? You are of the civil society, you are someone who is versed with looking at things from an objective position.
Well, thank you very much, Jarvis. As I told you before, I'm very elated with this topic because I have kept insisting that the common man has done nothing wrong to die and that they don't merit what they are going through, even though at one point they could be held responsible on the basis that when the crisis started, they saw it as a green light to improve that situation. So they came out massively on the basis that that was a way for them to express what the grievance that they have been keeping for too long. As you know, all these issues started with the 1972 constitution that was fraudulently changed. The referendum that came in and the constitution was changed. Yes. After that, we have this assimilation issue that has been continuously cried or decried by us. We have the issue of marginalization. So there was a growing frustration in the mind of the population, and so they saw that as a way to change things. But little did they know that the leaders were going to be decapitated and some other vision was going to come into the whole matter. Because remember, when the 2016 movement started coming up, there was nothing like separation in it. It was a different platform. The separation issue took more effect after January 2017, when the arrest of the consortium members took place, and this whole consortium issue was transferred to the diaspora. It became something else. At this point in time, the population did not have again people on the ground to coordinate, because those who were coordinating the normal manifestation had been removed. All that started coming from the diaspora with people that people had not even seen for a long time. This population was not now guided by its politicians, who, as we all know, don't have legitimacy. The chiefs, who were supposed to also play the moderation role, had been mixed up into politics such that the population in some places were just waiting for an opportunity to fight back against their traditional rulers. Then we also had the civil service personalities there, who the population already had some grievances with them in terms of the situation in the country that we know about, corruption, social injustice, and all of that. So the population thought that this was a way for them to right the wrongs of what has been happening. When things changed and the military was brought into the picture, the situation became complicated. And the population now did not know how to defend themselves. The few persons who started with the Den guns, as we all know, now thought that the population was automatically supposed to continue following them as they had done in 2016 and early 2017. This was no longer going to be the case because the military had been deployed in the field, and it was clear that they were going to face an asymmetrical war, which the military and the intelligence of the state, as you rightly said, underlooked the matter. They thought it was going to be a short-lived issue, and so it will be done and dusted. That did not happen. This common man now got trapped in between these other persons, that is the non-state actors, who now have guns, and who thought that the population was just going to continue supporting them the way they are. But there are people in the population who have their discretion, who have their own views, and who thought that they cannot tie with those who are fighting the state. These ones now were given the different name that you gave in your introductory statement, the black legs, the enablers, the whatever things, as you rightly said, and they now became the target. As if that was not enough, it got to a point where if they can't get you, they get your relations, so that maybe you can respond to that medium, and then the issue continued. When the military also got to the field, instead of working in the way that the population will see that they have come to defend them, because that was the role of the military, to go to the field to defend the national, as you said, defending territorial integrity and the lives and property of people. The military went, and since they could not easily identify who is holding arms as a civilian and who is a common man, they started getting into excesses. Where in the early part of this struggle, we heard international relations say that there is excessive use of force by the military. It was not because of the armed groups that were being killed. It was when houses were being burnt, people were from the farm, they were shot, boys were playing football, they were shot, and then it became now a problem of the population against the two sides. So, as you rightly said, the population is suffering from a situation that caught them off hands. And this happened because the way the crisis was managed in the beginning part was that where the government, which had not had such a resistance, least expected that it was going to be like that. And it has gotten to the point where, as you rightly said, deaths are recorded on both sides. We can even say the trio, because we cannot put the unarmed civilians as being belligerents. The belligerents here are the military and the security forces and defense forces. Then the civilians who hold guns, we call them the non-state actors. And then you have now the population. And as you rightly said, if you look at it very well, the common man has died more than the two sides. That is where we always say when elephants are fighting, the grass suffers. Because though they have killed a number of soldiers, they have killed a number of non-state actors who are armed, the majority are the common man, where sometimes in the process of crossfire, a stray bullet can just get a civilian who is just there. We have known situations where bullets pass through the window and kill people in their houses. We have had situations where students were going to school and they were caught in the fire. We have had situations where people left the church and they were caught in fire. We have had situations where people are traveling, then they met a situation where the military and the non-state actors are exchanging fire, and then they got involved in it. And worst of it, as you rightly said, it is this issue of kidnapping and killings. Remember when this crisis started in the early part, there is one divisional office, is it a sub-divisional officer or so, from that division, the first authority that was actually kidnapped. Until today, as from what I know, the corpse has not been handed to the family.
It's due of Batibo.
Exactly. And when they showed me the family of that duo in Dian, my brother, it was so pathetic. Pathetic because the family was counting solely on him as a breadwinner of the family. They showed the mother sick. They showed a small average family home that was waiting. He was supposed to go and do either what we've not commonly called the cry die in the village on the father and some other persons. This is the person that they were hoping on. They only heard that he had been kidnapped and he was killed. And as you rightly said, many deaths are still to occur if something is not done very fast. So I think, as you rightly said, the common man has been trapped in a dilemma where they don't know what to do. It is left on the governing cracks to understand that these persons are left with no choice, because these guys, as you rightly said, have taken them as a shield in relation to what is happening.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe your reaction?
Bon, oui, je voulais faire une réaction quand même par rapport à des données historiques. Hein. Bon, c'est vrai que ma compréhension de l'anglais n'est pas très poussée, mais j'ai quand même, je voulais revenir sur un élément parce que il a évoqué le docteur, le référendum de 1972. Voilà, comme et il en a parlé comme
mafia.
Voilà, une mafia politique. Bon, et là je serais pas d'accord avec le docteur. Je serais pas d'accord avec le docteur parce que avant 72, vous savez qu'on a eu une situation, je pense c'était en 1961, où on a nos frères, toujours de la partie anglophone, une partie, pardon, qui rejoignent le Nigeria, parce que là il y avait, voilà, on avait Northern Cameroon qui a rejoint le Nigeria, il y a le Southern Cameroon qui est venu de ce côté. Et on a cheminé comme ça jusqu'en 1972. Et à un moment, le président Ahidjo constate que, et quand il le constate, il n'est pas seul. Il y a les leaders anglophones de l'époque, les Salomon Tandemona, qui sont là et qui avaient fait avec le président Ahidjo le constat que les deux gouvernements, ça coûtait cher, ça coûtait, c'était lourd. Il fallait arriver à un seul État. D'où le référendum. Maintenant, il y en a qui reprochent la forme, qui disent que ça a été une mafia parce que tout le pays avait participé. Peut-être qu'on aurait dû seulement demander à tel ou à tel. Bon, ça, c'est notre histoire. Est-ce que tous les jours, on reviendra remettre notre histoire sur la table pour en douter, pour nous dire, bon, voilà, nous sommes partis. Est-ce que il y a un leader, vous êtes de la société civile, je suis sûr que vous avez entendu parler de Franck Fanon. Peut-être vous le connaissez même mieux que moi. Franck Fanon qui dit que chaque génération a sa mission à découvrir, à remplir ou à trahir. D'accord? Vraiment, Amadou Ahidjo, les Salomon Tandemona et les autres leaders, à leur époque, peut-être que c'était leur mission. Aujourd'hui, notre mission à nous, c'est quoi? À mon avis, notre mission à nous, c'est la coexistence dans l'environnement que ces gens nous ont légué. Voyez, coexister dans cet environnement que ces gens nous ont légué. Si on va réveiller leurs querelles, les querelles de leurs époques, encore que à l'époque, eux ne se sont pas querellés sur ce point-là, même si il faut dire que tout le monde n'était pas d'accord. Parce que ça aussi c'est historique. Tout le monde n'est pas d'accord, même s'il faut le dire. On a quand même fait le chemin. On est en 2021. Comment on vit? Comment on coexiste de sorte que dans ces villages, que les gens ne continuent plus de mourir? Du côté de l'armée, que les gens ne continuent plus de mourir? Que les Camerounais ne se regardent plus en chaîne de faïence? Je me dis que voilà la mission de notre génération. Qu'on la découvre et qu'on définisse les moyens à travers lesquels on va l'opérationnaliser pour que nous avancions ensemble.
I want us to move to Mr. Sama to get his first reaction as far as this topic is concerned.
Good morning, Jarvis, and good morning to the rest of the panelists with you over there in the studio. Happy Sunday to all of you. The question you want us to tackle has to do with where to put the blame or to diagnose the origin or the source of the problems that the common man, as to say, in the northwest and the southwest is undergoing at the moment. Permit me deliver the scope of those that you refer to as the common people, and I'm sure you are talking about the non-elites, the non-administrators, the non-soldiers, the non-fighters, or those who are not directly involved in the crisis, but who are affected by the crisis. The common man being you and I, who is neither an activist, nor a fighter, nor an administrator, nor a uniformed soldier of the Republic. Jarvis, truth be told, and I'm sure truth is what we very much desire at this moment, I often compare the ordinary citizen of the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon to that of, first and foremost, that of a wife in an abusive relationship, that of a wife who is the victim of marital alienation, that of a woman who is the victim of underestimation, that is the situation of a woman in an abusive relationship who is the victim of undervaluation, whose worth is not appreciated by the husband, and so she is alienated, she is estranged in the relationship, and I should say she is a woman who is sex-starved in the relationship. I also compare the lot of the Anglophone Cameroonian to that of the African, the black African, in the human society. The African race has been the victim of slave trade, of slavery, of colonialism and colonization, of racism, of marginalization and alienation and manipulation of all sorts. That is the situation in which the Anglophone Cameroonian has found himself over a long period from independence and reunification the history of Cameroon as a whole. It is from that background that you can better appreciate what we often call or miscall the root causes. Because for you to be able to understand what pushed the ordinary man into the arms, into the embracing arms of the Amazonian activists, you should be able to revisit the entire history of the Anglophone Cameroonian in this country. If you simply want to put blame, as I see some people say that Anglophone Cameroonians or the ordinary Anglophone Cameroonians are suffering from the hands of the Frankenstein monsters that they nurtured and fed and groomed, that would be unfair, because they would be turning a blind eye to the past, the history, which is actually what set the stage for us to get to like where we are. It is like a researcher who is writing a PhD thesis, and he starts from chapter 3, which is presentation of the facts, without doing the necessary background check at the level of the preliminary chapters of introduction and literature review. It means that you are turning a blind eye to the root causes or the foundation or the roots of the matter which brought us to this stage. You can't put the blame on a wife who suddenly becomes unfaithful because she was maltreated, she was estranged, she was alienated in a relationship, and so she became vulnerable and was so soft to fall into the hands of a gigolo who like presented himself and maybe turned out to be a scammer. You wouldn't blame that woman. You should be able to look at the circumstances that push her into that state of infidelity at first. And that is the situation of the Anglophone Cameroonian, which we must admit, which we must accept, which we must revisit, and which we must put within context to be able to understand what brought us to this stage.
I'm sure we've listened to Mr. Sama. I'll get here. I'll start with you back, Mr. Eve. I want us to get this. People are being killed on a daily basis, and a while ago you talked about that the CBT and party believe that with the effective implementation of the special status, it will at least cool down the conflict, and it will at least give a way for peace to return together in the northwest and southwest region. But we've seen people, especially a recent outing of a regional councillor in Bamenda, talking about the regional House of Assembly, that it is not working. It is pure that the president there is carrying out, let's say, a kind of what we call a dictator way of thinking, that things are not going the way they had been promised. Does it mean that the party still believe in this special status that even councillors themselves are saying that it's not working?
Bon, je voudrais d'abord revenir sur quelques éléments de monsieur qui intervenait tout à l'heure. Il a dit, si mon anglais ne me trahit pas encore là, il dit que les anglophones au Cameroun sont aliénés, ils sont bref, sous-classés et autres. Bon, en gros discriminés. Ça, c'est une plainte qu'on entend depuis toujours, et c'est une plainte vraiment contre laquelle le gouvernement incarné par M. Paul Biya, le président de la République, se bat pour apporter des solutions. Une des solutions, vous avez vu récemment à l'ENA, il y a une section qui a été créée là-bas uniquement consacrée aux anglophones. Il y a eu une plainte relative à la traduction du droit OADA. OADA a été traduit. Il y a une commission qui a été mise en place. C'est vrai, les gens estiment que la commission n'a qu'un rôle consultatif et qu'elle n'a pas le pouvoir de faire un certain nombre de choses. Bref, je rappelle ceci, pas pour nier la plainte, mais pour dire que il y a un certain nombre de choses qui sont en train d'être faites pour que les compatriotes de ce côté-là ne continuent pas à se sentir ou à s'estimer marginalisés. Maintenant, si je reviens à la décentralisation, si j'ai bien compris votre question, pourquoi les choses ne vont pas vite? On a le sentiment que les choses ne vont pas sur le terrain comme annoncé. Je vous rappelle que nous sommes en train d'implémenter la décentralisation sur toutes les régions, c'est pas comme dans le cas des super-maires qui sont venus prendre le travail des communautés urbaines en cours et le poursuivre. La région est en train de s'installer. Vous avez vu que récemment, toutes les régions ont tenu la première session budgétaire. Il faut que on essaie d'avancer. Et au moment où nous parlons, les régions sont en train de faire ce qu'on appelle la cartographie de leurs besoins. Et d'abord, c'est plus avancé que ça, parce que c'est sur la cartographie de ces besoins que un certain nombre de lignes budgétaires ont été définies. Qu'est-ce qu'on attend maintenant? Il faut qu'on définisse les fonctions, la fonction publique locale. Avec qui? Parce que la région n'a pas encore de personnel. Il n'y a que des personnels qui ont été nommés là-bas. Les conseillers régionaux ne siègent pas tout le temps. Il faut que la région vraiment s'implante. Et c'est quand elle se sera implantée qu'on pourra voir que les gens aient le sentiment que c'est lent. On peut comprendre. On peut comprendre que certains compatriotes pensent que ça se fait très lentement, mais ça se fait lentement parce que les régions arrivent dans un contexte où rien n'existait. Elles doivent tout créer, y compris leur environnement où elles travaillent, avant de se mettre en place.
Okay.
Ouais.
This issue, I'm sure that we are witnessing the continuous killing. People are dying every day in the northwest and southwest region.
Non. Personne n'est pour que les populations continuent à mourir sur le terrain. Hein. Vraiment, je vous assure, chaque mort sur ce théâtre-là est un mort de trop. Chaque
because people tend to let me land with my question. People tend to look at just those who are killed with guns and bullets, but we have lots of people who probably are being killed in this region by diseases, by the fact that they're in the bushes, by the fact that they don't have food to eat. The whole situation is complex. People have left their homes and they are now. Why is it taking so long for this special status, which some are still questioning, to be implemented, so that we can stop these people from being
particulièrement, n'est-ce pas? Particulièrement pour la région, la zone anglophone. Vous savez que à des moments, le gouvernement a le sentiment que la température a chuté sur le terrain. Et on a vraiment remarqué jusqu'à un certain période, parce qu'il y a des événements qu'on entend là, sous réserve de leur vérification. On a eu le sentiment que les choses ont chuté sur le terrain. Et on s'est dit, OK, comme la température a baissé, on va reconstruire. On va aller essayer de donner un certain nombre de choses aux populations. Vous avez vu tout à l'heure, pas tout à l'heure, récemment, le premier ministre qui allait à la rencontre du JICAM, Chief John Gouté, il allait à la rencontre du JICAM pour dire au JICAM, vraiment, est-ce que les populations vont rester comme ça? Allons essayer de reconstruire. Et vous avez vu que les patrons se sont manifestés. Les gens ont commencé à faire des promesses. C'est vrai, le JICAM a posé des problèmes de sécurité, mais un certain nombre de réponses ont été données. Et on était alors dans la perspective de, il faut reconstruire la zone. Quand on dit reconstruire la zone, on pense à, il faut même, il t'a dit que même psychologiquement, il faut reconstruire les gens dans cette zone. Vous voyez? Donc on ne peut pas ne pas penser à ça. Il se trouve juste que les résurgences d'un certain nombre de violences sur le terrain peuvent participer à freiner l'action. Maintenant, pour la décentralisation, je vous assure, le processus au niveau des régions, parce que les mairies de villes, au moment où on parle là, la mairie de Bamenda, les mairies de Bouya, les mairies de villes peuvent assumer un certain nombre de choses. Et il faut aussi que les populations commencent à aller vers leur maire pour que le maire assume un certain nombre de choses. Eux, ils n'ont pas de prétexte. Les gens qui sont un peu en difficulté maintenant, c'est les régions. Pour le moment, les mairies peuvent assumer que les autres, la situation aille un peu plus, ça pèse un peu plus, pardon, sur le plan de la sécurité, et la région va se déployer sur tous ces plans. Mais on ne peut pas vraiment, au moment où nous parlons là, on ne peut pas exiger de la région qu'elle puisse fonctionner comme une vieille institution, ou alors comme une institution qui avait déjà trouvé quelque chose sur le terrain. Non, elle n'a rien trouvé. Elle est en train seulement de se mettre en place. Donc, s'il vous plaît, c'est dur à entendre, mais il faudra encore un peu de temps.
Okay, we are soon to be joined by the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party, PAP. But before then, brief reaction to that.
Yes, I think to be very honest with you, my association or my NGO, the Center for Human Rights and Democracy, took part in the Grand National Dialogue, represented by the chairperson, Senior Barrister Agbo Felix Kongo, and we had a huge document that we presented there. We must tell you that we are very disappointed with what is happening. At one point, we said, let us let go and see what special status was going to bring. You see, from what Mr. If just said, it tells you the type of governance system that they have put in place. A try and error system. A system of on va voir, on va essayer, soyez patient. C'est le processus, c'est avec le temps. Ils ne sont pas encore dans les That is the talk that Cameroonians have been hearing for so long. And it poses a problem. Because the decentralization process did not happen by chance in the major national dialogue. It was agreed in 1996.
Ça, je le sais.
And then in 1998, instead of implementing it, they instead went and sat and reviewed some articles, worst of it being the one where they left the presidential seat unlimited. They did not think about implementing the declaration. It went on up to 20-something years. Then the major national dialogue came. They went and sat and agreed that they should give special status to these two regions, which was still not bad. It has taken 2 years. Nothing is happening about it.
2 years
Here again,
because of what?
No, let us come. It first came because of the crisis. The crisis is already 5 years gone. The major national dialogue is 2 years going. And this is what was agreed in the major national dialogue. That was supposed to be an emergency. It was supposed to be implemented 6 months after. 6 months.
No,
now, let me finish. I am an expert in governance. My specialty is governance of regional and urban planning. So I know what I'm talking about. Let me just leave all those elements because we don't have much time, Jarvis. I will take two things. The budget of the Northwest and Southwest region was given minus about 250 million. I don't know if you heard that. The other 8 regions had 3 billion. The government did not communicate on that, neither report of the CPDM. Because it was interpreted that the 2 regions that have special status have less budget than the other 8 regions, which was not true. All of them were given 3 billion. But these people, since they started agitating, because the population was asking them, they gave us special status, what is happening? You people have been elected, you have had your, what is happening? They now complain. The government sent them some working materials. They started from the money that was given to them in the 3 billion. That is why they had a lesser account.
You
don't need to react, I'm giving you facts. Because I'm just giving you some weaknesses. I'm giving you weaknesses. I'm giving you the weaknesses of your communication strategies and that of the government. So it raised eyebrows that how can regions that are on special status have lesser money than the other 8 regions. And 2, they did not need to carry equipment and go and give those people. They had already voted an executive. If they wanted to make them to start, they would have sent them that money in advance for the president to start feeling his responsibilities of managing that money before the other one comes. Number 3, the budget that they are going to work on was not voted by those assemblies. The law says that those assemblies will work autonomous. They will vote their budget and execute it. But the budget that we are talking about came from the government.
Les 3 milliards.
Yes. Les 3 milliards pour les 10 régions.
Mais c'est une dotation.
Non,
ce n'est pas tout le budget, c'est une dotation.
Non, c'est le budget qui doit fonctionner pour cette année. Ils n'auront pas encore une session budgétaire pour cette année. C'est leur budget pour cette année. À la fin de cette année, ils vont maintenant concevoir les projets et tout.
Vous êtes allé auprès du président de
je vous dis ce qui est concret. Je suis un expert, je vous dis ce qui est concret. Quatrièmement, they were supposed to deliberate on their status in terms of how they are going to function, the remunerations and all of those things. The status came again from Yaoundé. It's not the regional councillors who deliberated on that. That is why in the Southwest, for example, it was very bitter. In the Northwest, it took 5 hours. They suspended the session for 5 hours before they came back and sat, and there was some moderation in it.
And there is a councillor from Gokutunya
who reacted very violently. And you see, the president of that council is not actually a dictator. He is just being influenced by circumstances, and since he knows how he came to that position, he cannot talk. We know Professor Fru, I know you have seen him in one occasion or so. He's not a dictator. That is a very cold-headed person. But he cannot talk. Because the way he came there, he knows how he came there. And so it poses a problem to the people that we were fighting to have our representatives. You have now given all representatives that we did not vote them, and now they cannot work for us. This man was talking like that to save his head, knowing where he came from and where he's going to. Yes, and you know how that area is very hot. So, my brother, when we are saying some of these things, we are being pragmatic to help the government to understand the dynamics of the difficulties and try to take actions that can help us to come and defend things in the public the way they're supposed to be.
Fabrice Lena, thank you for joining us, and it's a privilege to have you.
Thank you very much, Jarvis. I want to apologize for coming late. It's due to the distance from Victoria to here is not easy, moving across the Mongo with all the difficulties involved, the numerous checkpoints. I hope you understand. I want to salute all the fervent viewers of House of Common program in my Media Prime TV, and to my co-panelist, to my senior man, Dr. Seseku, and to wish all the militants of the Popular Action Party in the Southern Cameroons, in East Cameroon, a happy weekend. And to all those in the bushes, to say that we are fighting hard to see that you get relieved.
Thank you very much, Fabrice. Fabrice, we are caught in a fix. During the weekend has not been easy for those in the northwest and southwest, and also along the hills in the east region with the recent accident that we had at La Falaise, which happened yesterday. So it's not been an easy one. But when you look at the context of this northwest region and southwest region, civilians are paying a huge price in a war that maybe they did not bargain for. They bargained for a change of, policy and governance, but now it's a war that is taking their lives. Who did these people offend? As far as PAP is concerned, what possibly could be the way forward to reduce the civilian casualties, and reduce the casualties in itself, and probably put an end to this conflict so that life can return to normal?
Well, Jarvis, when you say that the civilian population are suffering or did not bargain, maybe you should be talking with maybe a report from a recognized organization or individuals who says that the civilian population did not bargain
for their lives
in 2000 and
the Geneva Convention spelled it, and Cameroon's constitution spelled it, that during the conflict you don't kill civilians.
Of course, nobody's target is civilians. Civilians come as a result of the consequent actions of the military or the AMBA, which is at most time a miscalculation. What you need to understand in conflict situation is that civilian populations are part and parcel of the conflict situation, and they cannot be completely removed from the scene by either of the camps. That's what you need to know. So they are simply finding themselves in a caught or in a trap between two camps who cannot fight in space. They are fighting on land, and the civilian population are on that land, and so they are bound to be in the situation of becoming refugee, internally displaced due to the burning of their houses, and so on and so forth. We saw how civilian population of these two restive regions came out massively in 2016 and 17 to ask for these reforms. And that is where we should start looking at it, because if they came out massively, it means everybody was affected by the bad roads. Everybody was affected by the cumbersome and bottleneck administrative system. Everybody was affected by the teaching system that was already adulterated. Everybody was affected by the common law injustice system that was being imposed on the people there, as if they were people under annexation, or the administrators there were coming like colonial administrators who to impose their will on the sovereign people. So with all this, some people saw that to react or solve this problem, it could be peaceful. That is the moderate. We are advocates for this means. And some other people saw that in order to resolve this, it has to be violent. And that is now the separatists. And you look at it from the angle that if the separatists are arguing that from the day of dissolution of the federal system from 1972 to 1984 right up to 2016, there had not been war, which means people were looking at how to use diplomacy, to use peaceful method, to write appeals, to write petitions to the necessary competent authorities, be it at the level of the presidency of the Republic of Cameroon or diplomatic corps and international community, so that they could see how they could solve this problem without violence. To no avail from 1972 to present. Because I remember very well, Dr. Goji Dinka wrote to the presidency of this country in 1984 that the changing of the name from what they had agreed in the gentleman agreement in Fuman Conference is simply annexation, because you are seceding from a union that you came with the identities, identity of the emblem, identity of the flag, identity of the name, identity, and all those things, and then you make the other person feel like he's been absorbed into, and that is what some of the ministers confirmed in 2016-17 during the negotiations in Bamenda when the consortium was formed, where they went there and said that 2 cups of sugar in the basin of water, they are rats, 20% of the population. So all this culminated to the violent reaction by the separatists, generating the Amber Boys. Now, looking at the root cause, the government of Cameroon is 100% responsible for the lives of Cameroonians slaughtered every day in these regions. Ask Amber Boys or ask the military. And I weep so much to see how innocent young military guys are being manipulated. You know, the training that people are given in military school is to defend fatherland and to sacrifice one's life for fatherland. That is military, and they have the responsibility to do that. Every military, every country will do that. But at our own level now, we have to question the kind of war we are going to fight. What kind of war is it? Is it a war against a common enemy? Because the separatist is not common enemy of the territory or the state of Cameroon. It is within. It is a problem that we have to seek and say that, okay, we have fought ourselves. We have been against each other. We now need to like stop this and look at where we went wrong, resolve our problem and reconcile ourselves. But if this had been said, Jarvis, from 2016 by the consortium, and the government reacted by arresting and imprisoning them, 2019-20 national dialogue resolution not implemented is generating more radical people to even generate more Amber Boys.
My question again is, the belligerents are fighting their battle, but the common man is bleeding.
Yeah,
we have seen the kidnapping of 6 divisional delegates. One was killed. These are unarmed civilians.
I don't want to say, Mr. Jarvis, to believe that you want to say the 6 delegates kidnapped are unarmed. You say common man. Who is a common man? Maybe you need to define me.
In the context of the conflict.
Yes, maybe you need to define me who is a common man, because when you say common man and then you are citing example that 6 delegates were kidnapped.
It's me, it's teacher.
Of course.
In this context are those who are not and those who are going about their normal activities.
I understand you.
As Cameroonians,
Jarvis, violence is not only physical, violence is also psychological. Do not ignore the role of the people, so-called common man, in this conflict.
So is that a justification why they should be killed?
It's not a justification.
Why they should be captured and killed?
It's not a justification for them to be killed. There is no justification to take human life without following the due procedure of law. Nobody is advocating for that. But I am saying that do not defend someone to be a common man caught in the midst of a conflict to say that they are suffering from. You don't know what the circumstances that led to the kidnapping of such a person.
You are the Secretary General of Popular Action Party, PAP. If the PAP was to be in power today and circumstances happen like that, people are kidnapped, so are you telling us that PAP will not respect the constitution of Cameroon, that which gives each Cameroonian the ability to settle wherever they are and to work in freedom? It means that if today is means those who are doing their normal jobs should pick up arms and defend themselves. Is that what you are saying?
A responsible political party before ascending to power have a political program, and they have mechanisms that will enable them to mitigate and litigate crises before they take place. Mr. Jarvis, if our party were to take power, we would not have even allowed the situation to reach the problem of conflict. At the situation of conflict, it is no more to say that who is it. It is a matter of life. It's difficult. It's complex. It's no more because some other person whose house have been completely razed down, who saw the mother being maimed in front of him or her, who saw the father being shot in front of him or her, is not reasoning like me and you, Jarvis. Those people need to go through. Those people need to go through.
Coming to Mr. Eve again. Are you telling
the
us
Popular Action Party? The Popular Action Party.
Are you telling
the Popular Action Party will first of all have to implement all what is in the constitution that favors the common man. That is beginning.
Okay, now who then is a common man for
that is the beginning that is the beginning of
yes.
right governance.
No, I want to get the definition of that common man now.
That is the beginning of right governance. The beginning of right governance is when you respect the constitution that you are supposed to guarantee.
No, you talked about the issue of common man. I want to get your own definition now, the context of that common man, because in the context of this conflict, we are
you cannot be asking me a question and orienting me to answer it. Allow me to unfold gradually and give you.
Common man.
No, you should allow me to unfold gradually and
because
give
I raise an
my
issue.
perspective.
No, Fabrice, I'm not stopping you to talk, but I raise an issue that the conflict in the northwest and southwest region,
yes,
the common man
is suffering,
and you said who is the common man in this context, and my issue was the common man is those people who are not directly involved in arms, who are not picking on arms, going about their normal activities as a common man, and you just use the same definition of a common man. I want to get the context now as to what you define as a common man in that context.
What you need to know, Jarvis, is that everybody that is living in the territorial area, northwest and southwest, as you want to call, southern Cameroon, as I want to call, have a direct or indirect role to play. If you are respecting Ghost Town, that means you are participating in the conflict, maybe by grudging compliance or by your own will. Are you getting? And if you are, let's say the government come and organize activities there and you go and participate, you are enabling the government to reign. If the separatists said I do this and you participate, you are. So in the conflict situation, you cannot avoid, because your life is at stake. You are participating in one way or the other. So when you say that the common man is corrupt, the common man has to participate. There is no conflict that had ever existed where we will go to safeguard common man. Common man have to participate because all of them are affected by the crisis.
So there's no neutrality in this. Are you, by in essence, saying that there's no neutrality?
There is
so the money who is selling have a right, they are not neutral because they are not neutral.
It's not that they have the right to be killed, Jarvis. Where you yourself, the military that is going to shoot at another person is not going to be killed. It's going to kill some other person. Are you getting me?
You say they are
and the
neutral.
that is coming to shoot the military is coming to kill, which means that the intention is not that you should lose your life, but because of what you are fighting for.
No, we are talking about the neutrality, not on those belligerents, the neutrality on those.
There is nothing like neutrality. There is nothing like neutrality.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to you. Maybe Mr. E want to react.
Oui, je suis très surpris par les propos de mon co-panéliste d'en face, parce que quand il a, et j'ai aimé que vous insistiez sur la définition de common man. C'est-à-dire que je ne sais pas pourquoi on peut venir à la télévision dire que dans ce conflit, il n'y a pas de personnes neutres. Dire qu'il n'y a pas de personnes neutres, c'est donner raison à ceux qui pensent que actuellement, au Nozo, il y a d'un côté l'armée, il y a de l'autre côté les sécessionnistes. C'est ça, hein? Et puisque sur le terrain, ceux qui vont aux événements de l'État sont considérés comme les partisans de l'armée, ceux qui vont aux événements des sécessionnistes sont considérés comme... non, permettez, j'ai envie de vous dire que vous vous trompez. Il y a beaucoup de populations qui sont prises en otage là-bas. D'accord? Beaucoup de Camerounais sont pris en otage là-bas et c'est eux, l'homme ordinaire dont on est en train de parler. Vous voyez? Est-ce que ces gens-là méritent ce qui est en train de se passer simplement parce qu'on va justifier au fait qu'ils sont allés ici, ils sont allés là-bas? Ils peuvent aller où? Les gens là vont aller où? Ils peuvent aller nulle part. À un moment donné, vraiment, arrêtons avec la politique politicienne. Je comprends que tout à l'heure, peut-être lui, il est plus technicien. Moi, j'étais politique. Toi, maintenant, tu es politique. Là, on va faire la politique. Entre-temps, sur le terrain, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Arrêtons avec ça. Sur le terrain, les populations sont prises en otage. La question, c'est comment on fait pour libérer les populations qui sont prises en otage. Nous avons proposé un certain nombre de choses. On estime que c'est insuffisant. Tout à l'heure, il dit, ça ne démarre pas, il faut aller plus loin. Essayons de travailler pour que les choses aillent plus loin. Mais ne travaillons pas à donner le sentiment aux gens que le terrain est divisé en deux parties et que, du fait de cette division en deux parties, rien ne peut se faire. Ça, c'est vraiment une caricature qui correspond à la vision politique des choses. Et sur ce plan, la politique n'a pas sa place. Je voudrais revenir à un autre élément tout à l'heure relatif au budget. Au budget le docteur a parlé, bon, c'est vrai, c'est lui le technicien de la chose, mais je reviens là-dessus. Pourquoi? Je reviens dessus parce que Il a dit chacune des régions a eu 3 milliards. Vraiment, je précise, hein, je préfère dire que les 3 milliards là représentent la dotation de l'État. Quand vous prenez le code général des collectivités territoriales décentralisées, vous voyez l'origine des recettes de chaque région. Je vous assure, les 3 milliards là, c'est largement insuffisant. C'est peu par rapport à ce qu'une région qui entre dans son fonctionnement peut lever. Les 3 millions là, c'est peu. Vous voyez, il y a tellement un certain nombre de choses. Ils vont même jusqu'au partenariat avec l'étranger. C'est-à-dire qu'une région ici au Cameroun peut décider même à l'international de signer ses partenariats et elle a des financements. Cela se fait sous le contrôle de l'État sans que l'argent n'entre dans la poche de l'État. C'est l'argent de la région. Vous voyez? Et c'est pour ça que je vous disais tout à l'heure que définir des lignes budgétaires assez claires, les mettre en place pour le moment, les régions ne peuvent pas parce qu'elles n'ont pas l'infrastructure, elles n'ont pas les services appropriés. Il faut que ces régions s'installent pleinement et quand elles se seront pleinement installées, elles pourront exécuter en totalité leur budget. La dotation, vous avez dit la dotation c'est peut-être pour un an. Bon, peut-être qu'on peut vous concéder ça, mais je vous assure que pour le moment, c'est réduire le budget de chaque région aux 3 milliards qui ont été donnés, en fait, c'est un peu simplifié. C'est pas ça. Il y a des lignes, il y a un certain nombre de choses qui permettront de gonfler ce budget. Vous pouvez pas expliquer le fait que, si je prends une mairie, la mairie de la ville, ici à Douala, la mairie de la ville, elle a un budget de près de 50 milliards. Mais quand on vous dit la région qui est au-dessus de la mairie, vous pensez que c'est logique que la région qui a un territoire plus large ait 3 milliards seulement? Non, ça ne peut être qu'un aspect du budget. C'est ce que je voulais relever.
Maybe your reaction before we get back to Fabrice.
Yeah, let me just be very swift. Ce que je voulais dire.
Because my issue there, I was talking my issue of the context of the common man, which Fabrice will have to clarify. That there
I was going to come to it. Yeah, I just wanted.
He said there is no common man in this context. That there are just two sides.
I will come to your worry. I will try to talk to him in French so that he gets me proper. Ce que je vous ai expliqué, c'est que les 3 milliards c'est le budget pour cette année. Vous n'avez pas compris. Parce que les régions n'ont pas encore les facilités pour fonctionner. Donc, on les a donné 3 milliards généralisés pour les 10 régions. C'est ce que j'ai dit. Je n'ai pas dit que c'est le budget qui vont fonctionner chaque année. C'est ce que j'ai bien précisé, que c'est que ça vient de l'État. Et que, même si ça vient de l'État, l'État envoie les 3 milliards et les régions décident comment ils vont le gérer. Je vous disais tantôt que c'est venu avec les lignes de dépenses. C'est un budget de fonctionnement. Ça ne sera pas un budget d'investissement parce qu'ils n'ont pas encore les lignes d'investissement, mais c'est venu de Yaoundé avec les précisions claires. C'est pour ça que je vous disais que la région du Nord-Ouest, par exemple, a eu 5 heures de querelles ou de débats parce qu'il ne voulait pas accepter ce qu'il les a présenté. Et de plus, c'est précisé dans la loi que ça doit être donné au moins 8 jours avant l'Assemblée, au plus tard 15. On les a donné ça pendant 48, c'était moins de 48 heures. Donc c'est
une précision.
Attendez, non, c'est les petites, non, ce n'est pas question de précision, c'est les petites choses qui ne doivent pas être là. Quand la loi est là et que ça peut être respecté, il faut qu'on le respecte pour éviter les querelles ou les débats inutiles. C'est ça le problème. Ça, parce que ça, les détails inutiles qui pouvaient être évités par faisant les choses correctes. Now, let me come to what you said, because quand on va continuer avec cette question des processus-là, on ne doit même pas d'abord créer les institutions sans les sièges. It's not like creating schools, then the people start struggling how to build the schools. Quand on crée les régions, ce n'était pas quelque chose qui est venu subitement. On devait devoir prévoir là où ils vont s'installer. On devait devoir... Vous savez que c'est maintenant qu'on est en train de travailler sur les textes pour la fonction publique locale. Vous savez? Vérifiez dans votre parti.
Mais qui devait travailler les
Mais ce n'est pas les choses qui doivent être maintenant. C'est les choses qui
devait faire ça.
Non. I want us to go on the context. No, I want us to go on the
Je vous dis que ça se fait à Yaoundé, monsieur.
Les textes de la...
Oui, je vous dis, si vous sortez de ce studio, appelez le comité central. Je vous dis que ça se fait à Yaoundé, je les fais. Je ne vous dis pas les choses que je doute. Je suis conscient de ce que je vous dis. Coming to your question, my brother. Mr. Jarvis, let me use any terminology. We are friends anyway. You see, to be honest with you, as I told you before we started the program, the situation that is in the field is that where the common man, as we have rightly put it, rightfully, is a victim of circumstance. And just as you said, the Geneva Convention and even the law of Cameroon, the human rights laws of Africa, all these laws one of the major elements there is the right to life.
Yes.
It's the right to life. There is no negotiation about it. And when there is war, those same laws stipulate areas that are no-go zone, like a hospital, like a school, like a church. We have seen cases where children have been killed in schools. We have seen cases where people have been removed from the hospital and shot. We have seen cases where people were in the playground and they were shot.
Both sides, eh?
Yeah, both sides. That's why we don't want to attribute them. We are making generality because our focus is on the common man. And as you rightly said, there are people in the ground there who have even made efforts to reconcile both camps in terms of neutrality. Take, for example, the men of God. When they started in the matter and they tried to want to look at things from a religious perspective and a human rights perspective, they were giving names based on where the argument weighed. When we came into the picture as human rights groups and we started trying to cry out on the fact that as human rights, the right to life of those who are non-state, non-arm holders, because as you rightly said, those who hold guns who are civilians are called non-state armed groups, while the military is normal, that they normally carry state armed group. So there is a group in the middle, and that group in the middle, as we said, started this issue on the basis of normal revendication. Maybe the Secretary General's words are what is posing problem, but to say that there are no neutral people in the ground will be troublesome. As you said, there are some grandmothers. The grandmother was burnt in the house, for example, who died. I don't know whether she's even conscious of what is happening. If we take the case of baby Mata, who was shot in, who was killed in Moyoka, we don't want to justify shooting or whatever, you will see that they have nothing to do with the matter. If we take the students, the pupils who were killed in Kumba, these are children who know nothing about what is happening. They only know that there's ghost town, they are killing people, they die. If we take the Ngabu incident, these are a group of persons who have died for knowing nothing about what is happening. So I think that it would be an overstatement not to clearly delimit what it is. And to clear up, in governance, there are two categories or two classes. There is what they call the governing class, which is the president, the members of government, those who have in authority. You have the governed class, which is what we have called here the common man. And so in the governed class, that is where some people have become non-state armed groups. And so there is a group within that category of the governed class who are not aware or conscious of even what is happening. Yes, and then they don't even have where to go. There are people who are in those two regions not because they want to be there now to speak. Because take those who have run to nowhere. They are here in Douala. You know the story because you live in Douala. Even my SJ sitting by my right here, he has carried many human rights activities to displace people who are in Yaoundé, which shows that these ones are lost in the whole issue and they could not stay. To save their life, they had to leave the regions. Okay. And so I think that we just need to be a little bit more comprehensive in the terminologies and safeguard as many common man as much as we can.
The FABRICE, LENA, you a while ago you talked about the fact that there are just two sides. I don't know if PAP, let's say PAP takes over now, how will they change the face of the conflict such that we have neutral people? Because you said there are no neutral people. Baby Mata, Gabu, as you have cited, Kumba, a lot of people being caught in the web. So are you by default saying that if PAP takes over now, there will be a new face of policy to differentiate who the common persons are?
Well, I will first of all start by saying that I'm very comprehensive of what Doctor said. And I think that we are talking here about how to end a conflict, yes. How to end a conflict that is already unfolding. And the other co-panelist, my brother from Mr. If, who is representing CBDM, political party, have said that we should work to see how to reconcile the two camps and end the conflict, so that those caught in the trap, like I said before, should be saved from more lives being slaughtered every day. I think that there are some people in this conflict who are like the end decision makers, and they are the problem of the common man. if you want to say who did they offend, I think those are the people that appear to act as if the common man offended them. And this is the President of the Republic of Cameroon and the civilian regime. I keep saying this because people have made a lot of efforts, individual, institutional, at the level of their organization, at the level of their political party, to propose to the government that this is what we can do, this is what we should do, so that this comes to an end. But they give deaf ear. Why? Up till now, the government had not implemented any aspect of even the late Cardinal's proposals. The AGC submitted to the government at the late mayor's office in Boya that Anglophone elites and youth should come together in a forum so that they could harmonize their views and give exactly what they want from the government, so that the factions of different opinions should be reduced. That submission is still pending between Boya and Yaoundé, and it has never been accepted to date that that conference of Anglophone should take place there. And to go further, the Popular Action Party, like other political parties whose bastion of support is from these restive zones, had proposed to this government written documents deposited where it is supposed to be, at the Prime Minister's office, at the Commission for Multiculturalism that they created to solve these problems, and it has been kept somewhere in the cupboard. Jarvis, explain to me, how do you want the problem to be solved when the actors come publicly to say that we want peace and reconciliation, but they are doing contrary of it? The common man then offended them, because the other people on the other side do not have the legality to go in front of United Nations Security Council and talk, or United Nations Human Rights Group and talk. They are just doing what we call lobbying. So the state of Cameroon is the one recognized in United Nations, is the one recognized, and I even saw the state of Cameroon is included in United Nations Human Rights Commission. I'm wondering, with all the human rights violations, not only in Anglophone crisis, but in other crises in this country, reports of human rights violation by the government, where sometimes they come to accept and acknowledge that the army had gone wrong this way, the army had gone wrong that way. It is their instruction. They are the one in the offices giving these instructions to the army. So I'm saying here that there is the state of Cameroon who is arrogant, who is not willing to reconcile the people of Cameroon. Because if the state of Cameroon is willing to reconcile the people of Cameroon, there are actions that they will take that will show this. And the actions, as simple as it is to liberate Sisiku and Co in prison, Mancho and Co in prison. To say that, okay, you people think that for you to come to Cameroon, those in the diaspora that are sponsoring these if these people can, if we can meet in the headquarters of the AU, if we can meet in any other country that you think is okay for us to meet there and solve our differences. It's not only in Cameroon that conflict had erupted in the country, and they have solved it in neighboring countries. When Nigeria had problems within themselves, they went to Aburi in Ghana and discussed there, and then they came back and implemented the resolutions. They went to South Africa under Mandela leadership and discussed there. Why not in Cameroon? Because the problem here is that we are talking about this is the mentality that is actually propelling this conflict to move to another level. When you want to say that pourquoi
no, tu prends des exemples.
Because please wait. We are talking about conflict. We are talking about conflict between people of a country, people who are supposed to be under a territory as a country living together. Because you people say that we should live together. I am not answering your question. I am not answering your questions. I am not answering your questions. I am talking about former Biafra war. I'm not talking about Boko Haram. No. We are not talking about external war. We are talking about internal war.
About the 1967 conflict between Ojukwu and Gowon.
So what I'm trying to say here is that the state of Cameroon is 100% responsible for this. Because if today Mr. Akwabia come up and say that, okay,
is it the state of Cameroon that kidnapped those?
No, it's not the problem. The problem is that it's their actions that is leading to that.
So
because they have the ability to end, but they don't want to.
I want to get it. No,
they have the ability to end. They don't want to.
I want to get it. So the separatists are sent, like they don't.
It's not as if the separatists are sent.
Right violations.
I want to say this.
So we should not hold them
I am in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that will be set up after this conflict. Everybody will take his or her responsibility, be it the separatists, be it the fighters, the journalists, politicians, everybody, because each and everyone that comes to media or is doing any work in the ground is doing an action that is affecting those people that are being killed. So what I'm saying here is that Mr. Jarvis, in conflict situation, there is one party that have the legality and legitimacy, which is the state of Cameroon, that the other party does not have, because international community is listening to Cameroon, and the partners of Cameroon that are the one that are taking decisions in the United Nations Security Council. They should take the step of calling for sincere dialogue, and there will be sincere dialogue.
Thank you very much. Hello, Mr. Jarvis. If the DDR were at least functioning properly, with fighters getting new perspective in life, then Cameroon wouldn't need the regions, nor separatism, nor federalism. And a dialogue that is logging will take place. Historical matter of Northern Southwest. This is coming from Max. This around read, it says the common man in this conflict, or what we want, is that the government should try to solve this problem we are facing in this country. The problem we are facing in this country, not everybody is safe, because we are tired about this dialogue thing that does not bring back peace. It's coming from Factor in Limbe. Tabong right says a common man is an ordinary person in a community or nation who do not have any significant social status, especially one who has neither royalty, nobility, nor the taking part in this government, like the government delegate. So this other reads, say good afternoon to you. Quite an overwhelming topic. The common man has never offended anyone. The greatest pain is casualty. The casualties innocent civilians have suffered. The tunnel of the struggle darkened more from the day arms were pointed on civilians. By the end, worse again is the random kidnappings with heavy ransom. If we do not put an end to this war, we will put an end to us. Jackson in Yaoundé. Esther from Yaoundé, right? You say good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis. Nice topic. God bless you people. Extend my greetings to Seseku. Happy Sunday. Hello, Jarvis. And panelists, the truth is that the government is treating Anglophone crisis as a Cameroon crisis. That is why we are failing. CPDN should stop this hypocritical look at the Anglophone crisis. Remember that the head of state said that history has not forgotten that Boya was the capital of West Cameroon, so not to go back and correct this history. Is coming from Amos in Boston. This oral read, you say after 56 years of Anglo-Saxon, after 56 years, a session of Anglo-Saxon was created in Enam. This is not a way to assimilate Anglophones. We need truth in this country. Look at the term that is union. One side cannot just sit. It's coming from Boy. This one, it says, Jarvis, greetings to your panelists. I am in love with the program. Kudos to My Media Prime. Kindly ask my CPDM brother what are the functions of the regional governors and the regional assembly heads as regard to the special status. Pa John in Limbe. Good afternoon and happy Sunday. My Media Prime, my question is regard the killing. Why is it that the military in the northwest in the fight against Boko Haram is not killing civilians as they are killing in Noso? Is it because they consider us as please be civil when sending us a message, Mr. IPSC. Very nice policy, very good editorial. Right on, we are watching. Let's take on Mr. Sama before we come back. A second excerpt on Mr. Sama before we come back to the panel.
So yes, Jarvis. So as I was saying, I've had a good number of people who have handled this issue light-handedly, and those who have handled it sarcastically. Some say with an air of sarcasm that Anglophones in the Northwest and the Southwest are suffering as a result of the original sins of their forefathers. they mean the history makers of reunification, Endeli, Foncha, Muna, Juaza, and the others. I've heard some say that Anglophones are suffering as a result of a curse placed on them by the spirits of these same forefathers who are angry because they have been scapegoated repeatedly by Anglophone scholars and Anglophone children who at every bend of difficulty put the blame on them that even of Muna and Foncha would have been better placed within the Nigerian Federation, and they have been cursed repeatedly. And I've heard people say that it is because of the anger of our ancestors. That is why we have been befallen by what we are living at the moment. I want to distance myself from all of those rhetorics because I think strongly that the blame cannot be put on the common man. The blame cannot be put on the ordinary Anglophone. Rather, I have always put the blame more on our elites and the administration or the establishment in place in Yaoundé. Whatever we are going through or whatever this country has been turned into a war zone and into a jungle, it is primarily and essentially the result of bad governance. It is as a result of a well-orchestrated system, a systemic plan that was well designed and has been implemented to the latter by those who think that the Anglophone in this country is an illegitimate child and who is not entitled to the same level of fair treatment as his Francophone counterparts. And it is the result of that well-designed and well-executed plan that we are at the level where we are. I cease to blame the ordinary common villagers across the Northwest and the Southwest who embraced Amber fighters or who embraced Ambazonianism. Let me tell you, whether you like it or not, and whether people are bold enough to accept it or not, I wouldn't support Amber fighters, I wouldn't sponsor them, I wouldn't praise them, I wouldn't defend them, but I would defend the ordinary Anglophone who out of vulnerability, who out of frustration, allowed himself to be swept off and carried away by this dream of Ambazonia. It is out of frustration, it is out of desperation that Anglophones became vulnerable and allowed themselves to be lured into it. And so I don't, again, as I said, I do not put the blame on the common man who have been pushed to the fringes, to the margins of governance and the welfare of this country, who saw light in some elusive dream and embraced it. Let me tell you that at the onset of this thing, Amber fighters were accepted in most communities in the Northwest and the Southwest, even by a good number of people who now, out of fear or out of hypocrisy, blame them and castigate them. A majority of Anglophones, over 90% of Anglophones, saw this as a dream come true and as a welcome opportunity to correct the injustice to which they have been exposed and under which they have been victims for a long period. So I wouldn't say that it is a curse, and I wouldn't blame the common man. It is not his fault. Again, as I said, the common man was just like a woman in an abusive relationship who saw that as the only way out for them to redeem their situation.
Mr. Sama, I think we are slowly coming out of time. Briefly, your reaction to that, because he's saying that the FABRICE raised an issue that why the common man is suffering from the killing is because of that the blame is for the CPDM party and your regime, the regime which has failed to resolve this conflict. From the time the conflict started, a lot of proposals were made, but physically they have not been, the proposals have not fully been implemented.
Fabrice, je comprends Fabrice. Fabrice est dans la politique. Il a la posture des hommes politiques. On vient à la télé faire de la surenchère, on bavarde beaucoup et on croit que c'est ça qui résout les problèmes. Moi, je suis très sensible à l'argumentation du docteur parce que il y a des choses, même si on n'est pas d'accord sur un certain nombre de choses, il y a des éléments techniques qu'il pointe et sur lesquels il faut que l'État travaille. C'est-à-dire que l'État doit travailler sur beaucoup de choses pour essayer de redonner le sentiment à nos frères anglophones que ils ne sont pas des Camerounais de seconde zone, comme le monsieur pense tout à l'heure, celui qui intervient là. Il y a un certain nombre d'éléments. Il faut que la décentralisation aille plus vite, qu'un certain nombre de choses sur le terrain soient implémentées, de sorte que les Camerounais de ce côté se sentent concernés par les affaires de la République, ce qui ne semble pas être le cas actuellement. Bon, maintenant pour la responsabilité politique, je comprends bien que nos amis de l'opposition mettent toute la responsabilité sur nous, mais je remarque aussi que la crise au Nozo, si elle finit aujourd'hui, les gens comme le parti de Fabrice, ils n'auront plus rien à dire. Hein. Donc parfois même eux, ils ne veulent pas que ça finisse. Vous voyez, il y a des politiciens au Cameroun qui
so are you saying that before the Anglophone crisis,
non, il n'existait pas. Il y a beaucoup. Il n'avait rien à dire. Regardez l'opposition. Regardez l'opposition depuis 90. Regardez l'opposition depuis 90. C'est la dégringolade. C'est-à-dire que on se demande si certains n'ont pas applaudi. Dans leur chambre, ils n'applaudissent même pas que les gens soient tués. Puisque ça leur permet de venir parler à la télévision et de dire n'importe quoi. Ça leur permet de venir dire le EDPC est responsable, c'est tel. Arrêtez un peu. On ne fait pas la politique sur le sang. Vous voyez, voilà un problème qui date, je vous ai dit tout à l'heure, je vous ai parlé du référendum de 1961, je vous ai parlé du référendum de 72. Il y a une minorité anglophone depuis 72 qui n'est pas contente. D'accord? De 72 à 82. En 82, on a changé de régime. Le problème n'est pas né sous Paul Biya. Le problème est né avant. D'accord? Il est né avant. Et maintenant qu'on arrive, des politiciens en manque de visibilité et de compréhension sur le terrain viennent faire tambouriner ici, on crie comme un pasteur d'une église. Oh, non, c'est pas ça. C'est pas de là que viendra la solution. Arrêtons avec la politique. Regardons froidement les choses sur le terrain et disons-nous un certain nombre de choses. Et je vous assure que si on résout ce problème, vous aurez encore un espace plus vaste, plus sécurisé pour faire la politique. Pour le moment, la politique n'est pas bonne. De quelques parties.
I'll just give a swift response to what he's saying. You know, what amazes me with CBDM people is that they always come to say, arrêtons la politique. What is the problem of Cameroon if not politics?
Non. Les gens qui meurent sur le terrain là, c'est pas la politique.
C'est quoi?
C'est pas la politique. Ça, c'est la politique peut être considérée comme un jeu. Hein. Ce qui se passe sur le terrain là.
You said when you listen, when you were talking, you react. When you were talking, I was very patient to listen.
You asked me a question.
I'm coming. I want to.
Let Fabrice land. You react.
I want to tell you something. It is the bad policies of your party and regime that has dragged the country from prosperity to war. It's the bad policies, poor education policies, poor justice system, poor, all those things were never implemented. From 1996 to 2016, where was decentralization? Where is what you people are preaching today? You are saying that doctor talk about technical application of what can make the other people to be happy. What is the technical application? The CPDM regional assembly guy in Goketumja who was shouting the other day on video that they are unable to carry out actions because you people are imposing your will on the people. There is no country that can survive without a good political will. You people, let me tell you something. Wait, let me tell you something. You people have I was patient to listen to you now. You people have what we call bad faith and poor political will. Bad faith and poor political will.
You are a poor political.
That is what your party have done to drag this country to where it is today. And to conclude, Mr. Jarvis, I want to tell Cameroonians and people from southern Cameroon that CPDM does not have his place again in this country. And all of us, we are fighting that Cameroon will reach that level where we will have that structure that will permit us to do politics. I don't have any interest to come and do politics in Douala or Yaoundé. I want to go back to my area of origin and stand as a leader there. And you people should take this to Yaoundé. Whether Yaoundé like it or not, you are going to accept the will, the sovereign will of the people of Southern Cameroon and even of Cameroon. Those are
briefly, where do we go from here?
I would like to use this opportunity to reiterate what our organization stands for and which we have been decrying. Firstly, I will recommend that the Director of Judicial Police, the Director of the Military Security, popularly known as SEMIL, the Director of the External Relations, who are all like secret services of the state, in relation to some other personalities which we have already earmarked in a document, should join with other outside, with those in the diaspora, notably somebody like Dr. Christopher Fomunyo, and form a team. We have earmarked 12 of them who can go for negotiations. This present armed conflict will never be solved through any victory by arms. They will go in for negotiations. From the negotiations, a dialogue will ensue, which will cover at most 50 persons. I repeat, at most 50 persons. And from that dialogue, a number of issues that we don't have time to talk about here will be discussed. And to end up, if these things are not done, the whole country is going to be embraced in the cacophony. One, you have seen the number of fire incidents happening in the other 8 regions. 2, you have seen the number of deaths happening in accidents. 3, you have seen the degree of deviant behaviors coming out in schools and in the public, insulting people and all of that. So I think that this thing can extrapolate in other dimensions that people may not understand. So it is high time we come to a dialogue table and bring this madness or nonsense to an end.
I just want to tell Cameroonians that we need to sit on the dialogue table. We need to revisit the 1961 constitution, and we need to look at the basis on which we have to live together again. If we agree on living together based on the new perspective of a new republic, is good. If we don't agree, we go our separate ways.
Thank you for coming.
Oui, merci, merci. Et je dis un bon dimanche à nos compatriotes de la zone anglophone et à tous les autres. Que les politiciens, les petits politiciens ne viennent pas nous distraire. Merci.
This program will rebroadcast on Sunday, today Sunday at exactly 10 p.m. We'll have a rebroadcast at 10 p.m. Not 10:30 p.m. and tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. we'll have a rebroadcast. It is on our YouTube channel, BT Media Group. Our YouTube channel is BT Media Group. I leave you with this: no matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. What should matter for you is that stand together for what you believe, work for what must be done, love each other in all that you do. To all my people, I want to spread the peace and thank you for watching at Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Feng Dong Mbange. Bye-bye.